Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm at Nishiki-cho Station, which is the terminus of the Nishikigawa Seiryu Sen, or the Nishikigawa Railway. The Nishikigawa Seiryu Sen is a private railway, or a third sector railway, so half public, half private, that runs up from Iwakuni along the Nishikigawa River, hence the name, to here, Nishiki-cho. It was originally built as part of Japanese National Railways as the Gannichi line, but then shortly after privatization to JR, in 1987, this line was transferred from JR to private ownership and became the Nishikigawa Railway. As you'll have seen, it's a beautiful railway. The scenery is quite spectacular, especially on a beautiful day like today. So, I said the line was originally built as the Gannichi line. Well, the part that was built was to here, Nishiki-cho. It was originally planned to connect Iwakuni and Nichihara on the Yamaguchi line in Shimane Prefecture. But the line was only ever built to here, and although some of the tunnels and bridges further on towards Nichihara were built and were really almost ready for a railway to be laid, the line was cancelled, and so the bridges and tunnels remain, but, well, they were never used. In fact, even from the end of the station platform, you can see the first of the unused tunnels. Well, I say unused, but actually the first 2 or 3 tunnels are not used as a railway, but they're used by the Nishikigawa Railway for their toko-toko train, which is sort of a bus train hybrid sort of thing. It's like the sort of thing you'd see at an amusement park or a theme park, where people can just ride around. It's basically 3 or 4 short carriages pulled by, well, basically a car, with open sides, and it runs through the tunnels as far as an onsen further up in the hills, called Sozukyo Onsen. And one of the tunnels is actually called the Kirara Yume Tunnel, which is, shiny dream tunnel, would be a rough translation, I suppose. And it's decorated with sort of luminous stones inside the tunnel to resemble the Milky Way. I've never been to the onsen, but the tunnels are quite something. They're well worth a visit. So what I've done is come all the way up to Nishiki-cho first, and I'm going to take the next train back towards Iwakuni and get off at 2 or 3, maybe even more, stations along the way. And well, enjoy the scenery, really. I think it's fair to say that there's not a great number of places along the line that are worth actually visiting, apart from, of course, Kintaikyo Bridge and Iwakuni Castle, but they're both very close to the start of the railway line. As you come further north, it becomes more and more rural. But although there may not be many places to visit, the sheer beauty of the scenery along the line more than makes up for that. And as I say, on a day like today, I can think of really no better way to spend an afternoon. So my next train is at 12:40, I think, and I'm going to go first to Yanaze, which is only one stop down the line, but it's where my, I would say, favourite place on the whole line is. I could spend a whole afternoon there. If you gave me a comfortable chair, I could spend a whole weekend there, in fact. It's just such a wonderful view along the river. Anyway, you'll see that in, well, for you, a few seconds. For me, about 40 minutes from now. Okay, so this is Yanaze Station. It's only about 4 minutes by train from Nishiki-cho. And as you can see, it's pretty simple. It does have one unique thing though. Well, unique for the Nishikigawa Railway. Let me show you. This. Yes, you might say, it's a level crossing. So what? Well, it happens to be the only level crossing on the whole of the railway. If you like railways or you like level crossings, then it's interesting. Otherwise, it's nothing really more than a bit of trivia, I suppose. But anyway, the only level crossing on the Nishikigawa Railway. But in the end, I didn't come here for a level crossing, interesting as it might be. I came here because, as I said when I was back at Nishiki-cho, the view from just here is, I think, my favourite view on the whole railway line. So, let me show you. So this is the view I was talking about. What do you think? Isn't it just wonderful? I'm serious. If I had an easy chair or a tent, or an easy chair and a tent for that matter, I would stay here all day. In fact, I'd stay here all weekend. It's just heavenly, really. And what's more, the river is just so clear and clean here. It's incredible. I have a waterproof camera with me, completely by chance actually, but I'm going to see just how clear the water is. Let's give this a try. Pretty impressive, isn't it? To be honest, I'd really like to get my camera into the water right in the center of the river, but my tripod isn't long enough. Having said that, the river is clear enough and calm enough, and the weather is warm enough that I could, I suppose, take my shoes off and wade out. The only thing is, it does actually look quite deep, so I'm going to leave it, I think. But it's something I would really like to do in the future, maybe. So for now, I'm going to just sit here for a while, have some lunch, and enjoy the scenery. I hope you agree with me. It really is superbly beautiful. So that was the river view I wanted to see and, well, I wanted to show you. It really is quite beautiful, isn't it? Anyway, I have just over an hour until the next train. And, well, as I keep saying, it's a beautiful day, so it's no trouble at all waiting on the platform. I'm glad I've got a good book to read. So, anyway, I will see you when the next train arrives. Okay, so this is Mukuno Station. And, well, it's another gorgeous place. Now, you may have noticed that between Yanaze and here, we passed through a station and we slowed down, but we didn't stop. Now, that's a very special station, maybe a unique station in the whole of Japan, in fact. More on that later. Anyway, I only have about 10 minutes here. I'm going to catch the next train back towards Nishiki-cho and get off at the next station up the line, which is called Naguwa. Now, Naguwa is probably the most well-known station on the line, apart from that special station we just passed through. And it's well known because it's a brilliant place to take photos of the trains. Anyway, more when we get to Naguwa. I do rather like Mukuno. There's nothing here. I mean, there's literally not even a vending machine, which is, when you think about it, pretty rare for Japan. But as you go down the steps from the station, there's this little clearing. I like to imagine that it may once have been like a little garden or a place to take a break, maybe while waiting for your train. And then if we go down some more steps, like this, we can go under the railway line and once again the river is very close by. There is also a bus stop, but just here is the river once again. Let's just take a look from actually on the bridge. Rather beautiful again. Now, today the river is very calm, very peaceful, but it's not always like that, and maybe the width of the river here is a clue. When there's heavy rain, especially further up in the hills, this river can get very full very fast. And as it travels down towards Iwakuni, it has the potential to cause, well, disasters. One particular disaster was when the river, this river, the Nishikigawa, washed away the famous five-arched bridge, Kintaikyo in Iwakuni. So, as I say, the river looks very calm and very inviting, really, today, but you should never underestimate it. It can be a seriously violent river. Anyway, I need to go back to the station. One thing I always notice about the Nishikigawa Railway, and one thing I think is really nice, is the fact that all the stations have brushes like that. I'm guessing that's so that the local people can keep their stations clean. It's a great idea. Okay, so this is Naguwa Station, the third station of the day. And the station with quite possibly the most annoying fly in the world. But flies aside, this is actually quite an unusual station because the station is the only thing on this side of the river. To get to the little hamlet, such as it is, you have to cross the river. So there is a bridge, literally just for the station. And I suppose it should really go without saying that you can't drive to the station. You have to walk across the bridge. It's a footbridge. So it is a little bit unusual as a station. This station always makes me slightly uneasy because a few years ago when I came, there was a big sign saying, "Beware of the mamushi." Well, mamushi are poisonous snakes. And I don't like snakes whether they're poisonous or not. So I had a 2-hour wait when I came to the station that time as well. But I spent the whole 2 hours in a state of sort of nervousness, just wondering if there was going to be a snake show its face. This is the very last day of May. I think probably I'm a little bit too early for poisonous snakes, or any snakes for that matter, this year. But even so, I won't be relaxing completely. I'm going to cross that footbridge and go down to the riverside in a little while. But just before I do, let me say a few words about that special station we passed earlier. The station is called Seiryu Miharashi Station, and it's special, well actually it's unique in Japan because you can only get to it by train. And when I say you can only get there by train, I do literally mean that. There's no road, there's no path even, and there's no way of crossing the river. Because like this station, Naguwa, Seiryu Miharashi Station is the only thing on its side of the river. The big difference is that with this station, as I said, there's a footbridge. With Seiryu Miharashi, there's nothing. So you do literally have to go by train. What makes it even more special is that the normal trains on this line don't actually stop. They slow down, basically so tourists can get a look at the station, really, but they don't stop, and you can't get off. The only way to actually get off at that station is to take one of the special trains that run, I think, basically once a month, specifically to take people to that station. So what they do is they leave Iwakuni, they travel up the line to Seiryu Miharashi. You get about 10 minutes to get off, take a look round, take photographs, do whatever you want, and then everybody has to get back on and the train continues to Nishiki-cho. So if you want to visit Seiryu Miharashi Station, you have one chance a month. So given that, the question then has to be, well, is it worth visiting Seiryu Miharashi Station? Now, I made a video maybe 2 years ago. It's somewhere on this channel, and I will link to it. I made a video exploring the different ways you could actually get to see the station. Not actually visit it, but get close to it. But I think in the end, my conclusion was that the best thing to do if you actually want to visit the station is take the train. I mean, realistically, that's your only choice. As to whether it's actually worth visiting the station, well, I would say yes. The trains, the special trains, are not cheap, but they're the only chance you're going to have to visit that station. And if you have a day with perfect weather like today, the river is stunning. But I was on the train once when the rain was quite heavy, and I thought, this is not really the best weather. But actually, it turned out to be wonderful because the mist hangs in the valley over the river, and it was magical. So, yes, I think it is worth visiting the station, and I think it's worth visiting the station no matter what the weather is. Obviously, because the trains are only once a month. That sounds crazy, but they are literally once a month. You have to book way in advance, so there's no way of knowing what the weather will be when you book your ticket for whichever train you're going to take, whichever month's service you're going to be on. But it is very much an off-the-beaten-track, quite literally, station. And it's a wonderful place to visit, I think, once in a lifetime, maybe. If you're in Japan, I think if you have the time to come to Iwakuni, you're in Japan at the time when there is actually a train running, and you're interested in that sort of thing, then yeah, book it. Gamble on the weather, although it's not really that much of a gamble because it's beautiful scenery, whatever the weather. And yeah, enjoy the train ride. I think that would be my conclusion, really. By the way, if you have any questions about Seiryu Miharashi, then please do feel free to leave me a comment and I will try my best to answer and give you any information you might want. I do think it's a difficult station to visit because there is literally one train a month. But if you can do it, I would certainly recommend it. Anyway, that all being said, I think I'm going to go take a walk across the bridge and take just a little stroll along the riverbank now. So let's go. By the way, I've just seen the Mamushi poison snake sign for this year too. As I say, I think I'm still too early for poison snakes, but the fact that that sign is there does make me a little bit nervous. Anyway, I'm heading away from where the snakes are presumably most likely to be, up in those hills, forests. So, anyway, from the station, we go under the railway, and then there is the bridge. Rather a fine bridge, actually, given that it's literally only for the few people a day who use the railway station. I was going to say that from here, the view along the river is stunning, but it's stunning from basically everywhere along the railway line. So it's not that this place is particularly special. Let's take a look the other side of the bridge. Yep, that way too. I think the river is quite shallow here, and quite often you see people standing in the middle of the river fishing. I think this river, the Nishikigawa River, is famous for ayu, which are sweet fish. And in fact, the Nishikigawa Railway quite often runs special trains on which they offer boxed lunches. And one of the options for the boxed lunch is to add a sweet fish or two. I have to say, I don't particularly like sweet fish, but I think if you do like sweet fish, the sweet fish from here in the Nishikigawa River are supposed to be very good indeed. So, you know, I was saying that the station is the only thing on the left-hand side of the river looking from here. Well, it is. There's the station just there, and the little village or hamlet or whatever you want to call it is the other side of the river. So anyway, let's get off the bridge and take a stroll down to the river bank. So I said earlier that Naguwa is one of the most well-known stations on the whole of the Nishikigawa line. And the reason for railway fans, railway photographers, is this. So about 150 meters away from Naguwa Station, heading back towards Iwakuni, the railway runs along what is basically a viaduct cut into the hillside. And so you have, if you get the right time that is, you have the beautiful green of the hillsides, the train, and then the beautiful clear Nishikigawa River. And it's a wonderful shot. Unfortunately, it's not the most easy shot to take because the trains are not that frequent. And if you're coming by train, which you should do, because like so many rural railways, the Nishikigawa Seiryu line needs protecting. If you're coming by train, you have to come, wait for a train in the other direction, take the photograph or the video or whatever you're taking, then go back to the station and wait for the next train. So you're looking at 3 hours realistically. Now, today I thought I'd got lucky and that I could take a train along that viaduct just there and have about 20 minutes to get back to the station before a train in the opposite direction. So that's why I came back to Naguwa today. However, when I looked at the timetable again, I got the directions wrong. So the first train, the train which I could have taken a photograph that is, rather than got on, is heading up towards Nishiki-cho. But I need to go back down towards Iwakuni. So, unfortunately, I can't take a picture here today, much as I would have liked to. I suppose that's just another reason to come back another day. As I say, the Nishikigawa Railway does need more passengers. I don't think it's in imminent danger of closing, but I also think it could close if passenger numbers don't improve. So if you're interested in railways, or anything of what I've shown you today has made you want to take a trip on this railway, then please do come and take a trip, come and enjoy the spectacular scenery, and contribute to keeping the railway open, because it would be such a shame if it closed. I know I mentioned back at Yanaze that I would like a tent and an easy chair, and I would just sit all day, all weekend, and drink in this spectacular scenery. I don't remember, though, whether I mentioned my new idea. It's a crazy idea, but it's an idea I'm quite proud of, really. I think it would be spectacular to float down the river on a lilo. Now, I'm sure it's completely impractical, and that's why I say it's crazy. But just look at it. Why would you not want to float down this river on a lilo? I think it would just be an incredible experience. If anyone knows if it's possible, or perhaps more importantly, if anyone can make it possible, please leave a comment, get in touch. Let's make that happen. Let's go all the way down the Nishiki River from Nishiki-cho or Yanaze down past here, Naguwa, on a lilo. That would be a superb YouTube video, actually, I think. Alright, well, there's not really that much point in staying down by the river because there are no trains I can take any photographs of before my own train. And maybe because of this concrete, it's really hot down here. So I'm going to head back up to the station and have a drink. Luckily, I did bring a drink with me because having spent days on the Nishikigawa line before, I know that vending machines are very, very few and far between. In fact, the only one I've found is up at Nishiki-cho station. I think none of the intermediate stations actually have vending machines. So you really need to bring your own drink and food for that matter. At Nishiki-cho station, there is actually a pizza shop of all things on the station platform. And it smelled really good today. I was going to go in, but then I was talking, taking photos, talking to a gentleman I met, and in the end I didn't have time, so next time. But that pizza shop aside, I think if you're taking a journey on the Nishikigawa Seiryu Sen and you're getting off at one of the intermediate stations like this one, Naguwa, don't expect there's going to be any place to eat, because almost certainly there isn't. So make sure you have drink and food with you, which luckily today I do. So I'm going to head back to the station and take a little break, and of course be careful of the poison snakes. Just as an aside, I think the fact that the walls along the edge of the river are this high, and at the top they still have doors to keep the water out or away from the road, shows just how violent this river can become when there's been heavy rain. I mean, look at it today. There's almost nothing, but it could potentially rise all the way up to the deck of that bridge. It's scary, really. You can see how it did manage to wash away the bridge at Kintaikyo. I've seen these signs quite often today. I think basically at every station I've been to. They say, ride the Seiryu Sen, this railway, and keep it alive. There's also something about MyRail gift vouchers, which I'm assuming is some sort of scheme to promote usage of the railway. But the fact that there are these ride it and keep it alive signs just shows that its future is not completely certain. I think, to be fair, it is relatively certain, because Iwakuni City made a decision in January or February this year to continue funding the railway, or subsidizing the railway at least. So I think it's safe for a while longer, but it equally can't be denied that it does need more passengers. I could say that more trains might help, but it's a bit of a vicious circle, really. There are not so many passengers, so there are not so many trains, so there are not so many passengers. But I think it's probably very difficult to make the first move and increase the number of services without any guarantee that the number of passengers will increase to match that increase in services. So it is a difficult situation, but as I say, it would be a real crying shame if this railway were to close. So we being the general public, railway fans, local residents, and I count myself as a local resident. I'm living in the next prefecture, but that's relatively local. We all need to do our part to keep this railway alive. I've just been looking at the timetable, and I think, unfortunately, Naguwa is going to have to be my final station for today. I suppose I could have set off earlier. I suppose I could have planned better. And that would have meant I could have gone to one more station. I still could, in fact, go to one more station, but it would mean an extra hour and a half. And unfortunately, I need to get back to Seiryu at a relatively early time today. So I think I'm going to have to pass on one more station. But I don't regret that, because yes, I've only really visited 2 stations. Well, I suppose I've visited 4. Nishiki-cho, Yanaze, Mukuno, and then here, Naguwa. But I've only really been to 2 of them for any real length of time. Here, Naguwa, and Yanaze. And at both of those stations, the scenery has been absolutely superb, and it's been nice to have just a leisurely day, only to visit 2 stations, to take things a little bit more easy for a change. So I don't regret it. But let me just say one more time, if you are in the Hiroshima area, or Iwakuni, or even Yamaguchi, then try and make time to come on the Nishikigawa Seiryu Railway, because it's wonderful. First of all, it has all the good points of a local rural railway line. But then it has the scenery. And as I say, whether you come on a spectacularly beautiful day like today, or whether you come on a day of heavy rain, this line has something to offer. It's beautiful all year round. It's beautiful in the snow even. I've been here once when the snow was really, really heavy. In fact, so heavy that I think the trains had to run slowly because the weather was so bad. And even then, it was spectacular. So if you're in the area, or even if you're not in the area, if you're in Japan, make time to come to the area. Come and take a trip on the Nishikigawa line. You won't regret it. It's superb. I will be back, I'm hoping, at the end of August, maybe middle of August actually, because further down the line there is a big field, or several fields, of sunflowers. And sunflowers and trains sounds like a good combination for photography. So I will be back again relatively soon. But I think today I have to say this is the end of the line, and well, basically the end of the video. So when my next train comes, which is in 10 minutes or so, I'm going to head straight back to Iwakuni today. I wish I didn't have to, but unfortunately I do. Okay, so I'm back at Iwakuni Station, and well, that was a great day on the Nishikigawa Railway. Just one thing, the final train was the pink train. Now the Nishikigawa Railway has 4 trains, blue, yellow, green and pink. And the pink one, I have to say, is my favourite. And the simple reason is, it was the train I drove on the Nishikigawa Railway. Yes, you can drive trains on the Nishikigawa. A few times a year, maybe 6 times, I'm not sure. They have train driving days, and you can apply, you can pay your money, and you can get to drive a train. Admittedly, it's only inside the depot lines, it's not on the actual running line, but even so, it's a great experience. I think it's really quite popular now, but I went maybe 10 years ago, and I think probably they'd only just started doing those days, and there were only 3 of us. So all 3 of us got to drive the trains maybe 6 or 7 times each, and it was really great. It was a wonderful experience. And as I say, I drove, well, the train that was available for driving that day was the pink train. So that's always my favourite. So it was nice to finish with that train today. Anyway, I think that's about it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching as ever. And as I say, if you're ever close enough to Iwakuni to take the Nishikigawa Seiryu line, take it. You won't regret it. Anyway, I hope to see you in another video very soon. But for now, from Iwakuni, goodbye.